All right. I think we can get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Wilson, and I serve on staff with the Gathering. With me this evening, we have Molly Beck-Dean, who serves as the director of the Gathering. We're super excited to share some information around registration, as well as kind of give you all a sneak peek of the new system that we will be using this cycle. A few quick things before we get started. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to use the Q&A feature at the bottom of Zoom and submit those. We'll get to them at the very end. And then one last thing is we wanted to give a special thanks to the ELCA Foundation for sponsoring our Zoom webinar series. The Foundation's ministry is to help congregations and individuals make an impact in the world. One of the ministries of the Foundation is providing socially responsible investing for congregations and ministries which follow the guidelines and priorities of the ELCA. If you or your ministry would like to learn more about their services, we encourage you to visit elcafoundation.org for resources and information on how to contact your regional gift planner. So with that being said, I will share my screen and Molly will take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin. And just echo my thanks to the Foundation for helping us host these webinars. The Gathering's all about these good partnerships. So we are thankful for that. So yeah, welcome to our registration webinar. We are excited to share some information with you. And like Justin said, give you a sneak peek of our new registration system that has been in the works for literally like 2 years now. So we're excited. So let's start off with just some basic information. Just clarity on who can attend and register the Gathering. So especially with a postponement, we are still sticking with young people who are in 8th through 12th grade at the time of registration, which opens on September 22nd. So we're looking for young people who are 8th through 12th grade starting this fall. And also a reminder that adult leaders need to be at least 21 years old at the time of the Gathering. There's 3 different registration rates. And so depending on where you want to fall in those different rates is when you need to register. So early bird registration is what opens on September 22nd, and that goes through November 21st. And then on November 22nd, we head into regular registration, and then on February 22nd into late registration. And so you'll see the prices here on the screen, and you really can save some dollars by registering early and getting your group signed up. And a note there too is that your registration rate depends on when you pay your deposit, that $150 deposit. So if you register on September 22nd, but you don't make a payment until December 1st, then you will be in that regular registration rate because it's really about when that deposit is made. So that's just something important to remember. Here's some important information and just a reminder about MILE, the Multicultural Youth Leadership Event, and the Table, our pre-event for young people with disabilities. Those registration rates are on top of the Gathering registration rates, and that's $190 a person, but that includes your housing, your program, and pretty much all of your food during MILE and the Table. And then those fees, you just click a button, Justin will show you, and those fees are added to your congregational profile. Some important dates, especially related to registration. We talked about September, and as you notice, we tried to keep everything on the 22s, make it easy. So September's early bird registration opens November 22nd, regular registration. If you register during early bird, your housing assignment will be available in the registration portal for you on January 22nd. And we do that knowing that a lot of people go to the ELCA Youth Ministry Network's extravaganza, which will be held in Minneapolis in February. And they go to that wanting to know their hotel so you can scout out, what's around and walk the space. And so if you register early bird, you'll know your housing on January 22nd. And then on February 22nd, late registration opens. And then in March, or in April, excuse me, in April is a deadline for some important decisions. So April 22nd is your deadline to opt in to gathering transportation. It's your deadline to make your t-shirt size selections, and also the deadline to opt into our service learning pilot project. May 22nd is when registration closes. And then a month later in June, all of your final details are released and your payments are due. And then July is when Mile, the Table, and the Gathering start.
So we'll kind of shift gears to kind of how you're going to register. And so the first thing that you're going to need when registering is your 5-digit congregational ID. And so this is a unique ID that every congregation of the ELCA was assigned. And so if you don't know it, try to see maybe if the church secretary or a pastor or someone in your Synod office can get that information for you. And if not, then you can email us gathering@elca.org and we will be able to get that for you. So I'm going to switch my screen for a second and show you the system that we will be using in September. Okay, I think this should be it. Okay, so once you have that congregational ID, here is where you are going to put that to start. So for example, let's use 01961. You can click begin. And as you can see up here, it'll show your synod name, your congregation name. Just verify that that's actually the congregation that you're registering. And then it'll prompt you to add a primary adult leader. So this is the first time that you're logging in, it'll ask you to add this. Once you do this and you want to log back in, you'll get to a screen that looks like this. And so this is kind of like your dashboard. And so there's lots of buttons and we'll go over a few of those. But here is kind of where that adult leader registration will go. And so as you can see, this little star here shows that I am the primary adult leader. And I can make Sally, my other adult leader, the primary adult leader by just clicking this button. I can add another adult leader by clicking here and just filling out all of the necessary information to register that person, which we ask just kind of basic information as well as have they been to the gathering before? And so let's say they have. And so then it'll come down and it'll ask you some more information like, have you been as a youth participant? If you say yes, then it'll give you a little checkbox to say when you were a youth, when you were a congregational adult leader, and so forth. Next, the next section would be special needs. And so this is really helpful for us as we are planning for transportation, as well as your service learning day. So let's say you are, or someone of your group is prohibited from handling certain food products. Maybe we aren't going to send you to like a food pantry or something that is dealing with food for your service learning site. So putting that information is always helpful. And you can, if you click on it, it'll give you a space to kind of elaborate if you would like. And then down here is where Molly mentioned the pre-events. So if I wanted to register for Mile, then I would just click register for Mile. And then once I add this person in the system, they will be registered for both Gathering and Mile. So that is kind of the adult leader registration. And so we'll head back to the dashboard. And the same thing is for youth. So click add or edit youth. And as you can see, I already have a few already in here. You can add some more by clicking this button over here, and it'll just ask you all of the same information as every other young person that's registering. Whoops. And so I'll mention a few other things while we're here. So if you need to like edit some information, let's say like Eli over here no longer needs a medium shirt and needs a small shirt, you can change that and then go down here and click save, and it'll save it for you. If you receive financial assistance for an individual, you'll be able to apply a coupon code in this area. So if you receive assistance, we will send you a coupon code that is valid for 30 days. And so you would go in and click this little present box and type in a random code that we send you. Obviously, none are kind of created yet. So if I add it, it'll say like error, but that's kind of where you do that as well. So next, I'll show the congregational details, which is kind of the third part to registering for the gathering. So you can click here, and this is just all information about your group that is going to be helpful for us as we are planning for you to join us in Minneapolis. So here is kind of like some basic information up here, like how many people are currently signed up for your group, etc. If you will be attending with another congregation under one congregational ID, it's really helpful for you to put that there so we can have some good data and know what congregations are together. Here is where you'll put the mailing address for your service learning shirts. So where should we ship those to? And then the next screen is all about programs. So here we'll ask you 3 different questions, and I will add, you can go in and change these up until April, I believe. And so if you would like to participate in the service learning pilot project, which if you haven't heard, it is a pilot that we're testing out for this cycle to see about sending smaller groups to some smaller sites for service learning to connect with more partners and maybe have a little more unique experience with just your group and a partner. And so you can learn more by clicking here. It'll take you to our website. So let's say we're wanting to participate in that. And then the next 2 are relating to mass gatherings. So mass cast, if you've been to the gathering before, this is kind of where your congregation kind of helps with the programming in mass gathering. And so they might be in a dance or choreography or something of that nature. And so let's say we don't want to do that, but we do want to be communion assistants at closing worship on Thursday. So we'll click yes, can click continue, and then I'll take you to the transportation section. And so this is where you'll put in when you are planning to arrive to Minneapolis, when you plan on leaving, and all of this information. So let's say that we are planning on arriving on the 23rd by a charter bus. And we plan on departing on the 28th, the last day of the gathering, also on a charter bus. And we are traveling with members of our synod. So we'll click yes here. And then here's an opportunity for you to subcontract your bus to the gathering for the 3 days in the middle during when you all are doing the different program rotation. It helps us get enough buses to take you to service learning or to Synod Day. And so let's say we do want to subcontract our bus. So we'll click yes. And then here is where you'll put your bus company's name and their phone number so that we can contact them and get that going. If you don't know that information right away, that's okay. Just click no for now, and you can always go in and edit it and change it to yes and add that information. And then just when would you like to subcontract your bus? So the final thing for transportation is if you'd like to be using gathering provided transportation. And so we'll say, yes, we are going to opt in. So we'll click here. And then it's going to ask you, after the gathering is over and worship is over on Thursday, are you going to want to go back to your hotel, or are you going to want to depart right from US Bank Stadium straight to home? So we'll say we want to return to our hotel first. So then you can click continue. This is the housing section where you can request how many rooms that you would like to have. And so again, you can change this information. And so just put down your best guess. So let's say we want 2 doubles and 3 kings. Again, this is just a request, but it helps us kind of determine how many rooms you think you're going to need, and then we can kind of go around and see what everyone else needs and then assign those. And yeah. And then finally, this last section is all the fun terms and conditions. Definitely read over it before submitting. But for the sake of this, I'm just gonna click everything and then type my name and then click confirm. And then all the congregational details are added. So again, you can go in and click edit and change the information if you need to. And then the last thing I will show you is the payment feature. So we'll click payments. I'm going to skip this first section at first. We'll go back to that, but we'll scroll down. And this kind of shows you the bill. So it shows that 5 people are registered at early bird rate at $3.50 a person. Shows that 3 people were planning to attend Mile. And then right here is kind of like the overall total fees. So it has registration fees as $2,000. And then once we assign you a hotel property and the amount of rooms and everything, that price will be added here. So something new this cycle is that instead of paying the hotel directly for your rooms, you're actually going to pay for the hotel and your registration all in the system. So hopefully that helps you out and is just one less thing for you to do. So yeah, those fees will show up here and you'll just pay right here. And then it'll show you how much has been received by us and then a balance due. Up here is another nifty thing with our new system is if you are not going to be the one paying, let's say you have like a treasurer or a finance person at your church and they are going to be the one paying for all of these fees, you can actually add them right here. So I'll put Molly and then I'll put her email, click save. And what the system will do is it'll send an email straight to Molly with login instructions and a link so she can go into the system, she can see what is owed and she can pay it, but she won't be able to like edit any of your congregational details or anything like that, just make payments. So hopefully that also is something that is helpful for you. And then the last thing about fees and payments that I'll share is that historically in the past, when you were registering, you would write a check and you would send it in, and that's how we receive payments. But we are going digital. So you can pay by a credit card. There is a service fee if you choose this option, but you can choose let's say we want to set or all payments. So all the deposits we want to pay right now. So you click that. Then you put in the card information and then you can click next and it'll process the payment for your deposits. Or you can pay by check, which is really an e-check. So you're not sending it into anyone. You're just kind of, I'll show you. So you'll put in what you want to pay. You'll put in your account number and your checking and routing numbers. And it's basically just kind of like a wire transfer, but like an e-check. So yeah, so that is the new system. Hopefully it's great for you all as you are registering and is super helpful. And let me pull up the presentation.
While you're doing that, I just got to give you like mad props, Justin. We had a staffing transition at the gathering, everybody, about 2 weeks ago, and Justin has like amazingly taken all of this on and learned a million new things in the last 2 weeks so that he could bring all this info to you today. So 2 thumbs up for Justin.
Thank you. I'll say one more thing and then I'll pass it on to Molly to talk about hotels. But when you are planning all of this information, you can download a registration worksheets on the Gatherings Resources tab. It's basically everything from the system, but on paper. So hopefully that also is helpful for you as you're getting information together. It'll have the congregational details as well as worksheets for youth participants and adults. So you can print those out, pass them out to your group. They can fill them out, give them back to you, and then you have everything that you can just magically enter and you'll be all registered.
Great. I saw a bunch of questions about that in the Q&A, so that's good. Are those ready right now, Justin, you said?
Yes, they're live on the website.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
I want to share a little information about housing. Like we've said in other webinars and meetings and that kind of thing, we're encouraging folks to budget about $160 per room per night, plus tax. So the church, are not tax exempt for this kind of thing in the state of Minnesota. So we do have to pay tax on those rooms. And room types are going to vary. Like Justin said, in the housing, a majority of them are kings, which can sleep 2 people, and doubles with 2 queen or double beds that can sleep up to 4 people. And so we are encouraging folks to just kind of average that out and budget for 3 people to a room. And we do try to make sure that, we divide those double rooms as evenly as we can across the congregations. We are going to do our best to house folks by synod, especially those who are registered by the early bird deadline. And so you will be all in one hotel with your synod, or maybe a couple of neighboring properties, just as a way to continue to build that community as a synod. And again, you'll see those hotel costs and all of your hotel information. In January, you'll see the hotel information, and then it'll be due in June, and you'll pay all the hotel stuff in that same portal that Justin showed you. And so you'll pay us for that, and we'll deal with the hotel. Again, financial assistance is open right now and is available for all young people who are coming to the gathering, and you as the adult leader apply on behalf of your young people. And then we're in the process of looking through those applications right now. And then when you're notified, you'll have 30 days to register. And then if not, then that coupon expires and you'll have to reapply. This assistance is normally $300, which goes towards your gathering registration. There's not additional funds available for Mile and the Table because those events are already so heavily subsidized. But do want to point out that this is an opportunity, an invitation to think of those kiddos or families who maybe need a little extra help to get to the gathering this cycle. And we've specifically set aside some funds for young people of color and those living in both urban and rural communities, as well as our new mission congregations. So new starts and new congregations, making sure that there's some pots set aside for those specific kids and ministries. Oh, and there's a worksheet for that too. So you can hand that out, the financial worksheet, hand that out to your kids, and then collect it and apply online.
Awesome.
Got lots of good questions, it looks like.
Yeah. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to add those in the Q&A feature, and we'll try to get to as many as we can. So let's see, where should we start? Yeah, can you share more about what Mile is? I'm new and don't know what it is.
Sure. So Mile is a multicultural youth leadership event, primarily for young people of color or whose primary language is other than English. And it's a pre-event of between 500 and 700 young people and their adult leaders. Sometimes a whole congregational group comes. Sometimes a few kids and an adult leader from a congregation will come to Mile and then meet up with the rest of the group at the gathering. And so it's a time of faith formation and community empowerment, and is a great event for our kids of color. There's more information on the website.
Yes. Where do we get our 5-digit congregational ID again? So contact your church, see if anyone in there has that ID. If not, you can check with your synod or email us at gathering@elca.org with like the address, mailing address of your congregation, and we can get that for you. If a congregation registers a handful of kids in the early bird section, then another kid decides they want to join once they're in the late section, can they still register? And if yes, would that affect housing arrangements? Yeah, you can still register for housing. It would just, if you needed an extra room or something, you would just email us, right, Molly?
Yeah, I mean, if you can, squeeze the add-on into one of your existing rooms, that's great. And if not, we can try to finagle another room for you.
If we're combining congregational youth groups, do we still need to use our own congregational number? If you want to be considered as like one group by traveling together, and if you're going to be going through the rotation and everything together, then you'll register under one ID. But then in the system, in that congregational details section, I think it's the first question, you would just put in the other congregation's ID so that we know that they're going with you. Will there be printable forms for the youth to fill out? Yes, so those are those registration worksheets that are available on the website. Yes, so as a youth leader, you are the ones that are registering students. Families do not go on and register themselves. So you are doing all the work. So, but you can print those worksheets out and give them to the families so that they can fill out and then just give back to you. And then you go through and add those registrants. So if the name changes, we can change that through edit 2, and no money outside the 150 is needed until June. So if you have a name change, there's actually a button when you went to like the add or edit young or youth participant section, there's a button that says substitute. And so that is what you would click, and then it would allow you to change the name and all the information. But the deposit would then stay the same. And yeah, just the deposit is due now. Everything else is due in June. Do we need to register everyone in our group together? Molly, do you want to answer that one?
At the same time, not necessarily. Probably easiest for you to keep track of it, but if you have a couple that are committed now and a couple more that commit a month from now or whatever, you can add people to your group until registration closes in May.
For editing participant information, such as shirt size, how far in advance before the gathering does that need to be set in stone? I think the deadline's April 22nd. Yep. For transportation, t-shirts, service learning pilot projects, so April 22nd. And
then everything else can be changed. Like those fields will be locked on April 22nd or 23rd, and then everything else is changeable until registration closes in May.
What are the special needs questions for registration? Those are all on the worksheets. So if you go to the resources tab, download those, it'll show up. So many questions. Can we print out the registration screen as a report to collect all of the information? Again,
go to the worksheet.
The worksheet will answer all of your problems. Let's see. Is there a minimum requirement of youth and adult leader registration for a congregation, or a minimum youth to adult leader ratio?
So we ask for at least a 1 to 7 ratio. So 1 adult for every 7 young people. Most congregations bring more like 1 to 5. This is an event for young people, so we ask that you not bring like a 1-to-1 ratio. We don't want as many adults at this event as there are young people, because this is for the kids. But no, there's no minimum. So we definitely have groups where it's like 2 kids and 1 adult. But also, if you have a really small group, you may want to think about hooking up with a congregation near you and going together. That's always an option too.
There's some questions around changing like transportation information that you submit, as well as like how accurate it needs to be when you initially register. It can just be a guess right now. Definitely go in later and make sure that it's correct by probably spring. I don't think there's a specific, well, gathering transportation.
Transportation stuff is April 22nd.
Yeah. But like arrival dates and things like that, you can go in and edit when you figure that out.
Yeah, that is helpful to have as we do hotel stuff, though, if it's going to change drastically.
Yeah. If a congregation is flying in, will there be shuttles provided by the gathering to and from the airport?
There will not be shuttles provided by the gathering to the airport. If you're staying downtown or in some St. Paul or Bloomington properties, you'll be able to ride the light rail from the airport. What we may do is provide some, if there's like third-party shuttles, we'll provide that information and then you can make your own arrangements. And there's always things like Uber and Lyft too.
Let's see. So there's a question around financial assistance and kind of how that is applied. So when you apply, then it goes to us. We'll review everything. And if your young person was selected to receive financial assistance, we'll email you like a coupon code and you'll go into the add or edit youth participant section. And then there's like a little gift box button and you click that and enter in the coupon code and it will deduct from your overall congregational balance. Let's see. Can buses be contracted at the Synod level? Subcontracted at the Synod level? Yes, they can. Can siblings of different genders stay in the same hotel room?
Yeah, so the gathering doesn't have policies on housing. We defer to whatever your congregational policies are around housing. So siblings, adults, youth, I mean, there's definitely some best practices out there, but we defer to your congregational policies and practices on that.
Is the stadium have easy access to light rail for direct departure to the airport? And if so, can we bring luggage to final closing worship? Yes. There's a station like right outside the stadium. You can hop on there and be in the airport. Boom, boom. And yes, you'll be able to bring luggage to the stadium for closing worship.
There will be a space to store luggage. I wouldn't guarantee it'll be at the stadium, but we will provide a space downtown to store luggage. We're still figuring that
out. Is there a limit to how many congregations can register together?
No.
What is the latest on concerns about civil unrest, social justice concerns in the area of safety?
So I've been to Minneapolis twice this summer, and I would say the downtown area feels very safe. And I would say close to kind of normal levels. It's a little sleepy, right? Not all the workers have returned downtown, but I felt very safe walking around. I took public transportation. We walked to dinner, after meetings and that kind of thing. I know there's been questions about what's going to happen if there's a protest or whatever, and just want to assure people the gathering does think through, our leadership does think through different protocols if things happen, and kind of what are some contingency plans for, and it's happened before around weather, right? Where it wasn't safe to send kids outside after a mass gathering because there was lightning or whatever. So we do think through some of those contingencies and kind of come up with plans. But yeah, I felt safe downtown Minneapolis. It's a beautiful downtown, and they're bouncing back.
Yeah. How far away could the hotels possibly be?
About 20 minutes driving distance is our furthest hotel. We have kind of 4 pockets of hotels: downtown Minneapolis, the Bloomington airport area, downtown St. Paul, and then kind of a Western metro. And the furthest one is about 20 minutes driving right now.
So there's a few questions about paying in the system. And so, yes, there is a service fee for credit cards. I can't remember on the top of my head, but it says right in the
2.5%,
system.
I think.
Yeah. But if you pay by e-check, there is no service fee. So kind of up to you on what you do. If you do not register with Early Bird, when will you get your hotel information?
Oh, that's me. We try to keep that rolling, so it won't be immediate, but after Early Bird, we do kind of try to keep hotel assignments rolling. So I'm not going to promise like 24 hours later or anything, but we do try to keep it rolling pretty quick. So how about soon?
When is the deadline for filing applications for financial assistance?
So financial assistance is first come, first serve. And so it is done when it's out. So I would encourage you to apply early. There are still funds as of today.
Yeah. What time will registration open on the 22nd? 10 a.m. Central. What is the regular registration fee?
$350 is the early bird, and then regular registration goes to $390.
There we go. There was a little confusion on the balance due. If they apply during early bird period, when is the balance due? So if you apply during, if you sign up during early bird, your registration deposits, so $150 per person, would be due by the end of early bird. Otherwise, you would go up to the regular registration rate. Everything else beyond the $150 deposit is due on June 22nd of 2022, as well as like your hotel fees and everything. Let's see. Will vaccines be required, or will refunds be issued if it is canceled due to COVID?
So as of right now, our plan is to not require vaccinations. Of course, we all know how much the world can change. It feels like week by week, but as of right now, our plan is to not require vaccinations. We're not sure what other safety measures are going to be put in place, masks or testing or anything like that. It's just too soon to make some of those decisions. School districts are still making those decisions for school that starts in 2 weeks, but we're definitely paying attention, and we'll do what we need to do to keep our kids safe. As far as cancellation, if the gathering ends up being canceled, then the congregations will have a few different options. They can get a full refund. You can keep it as a credit in your account for the 2024 gathering, or you can give those fees as a gift to the ministry of the gathering to help cover our costs for cancellation.
Are adult leaders free, or do they have to pay as well?
Oh, I wish. Somebody write a grant for that. Find a rich person to pay for all our adults. You have to pay.
Yeah. Can we get a copy of the slides, or will there be a recording? This is being recorded, and in the next few days, it'll be up on the website under the webinar section. So right where you registered, you can go there and view the recording. Will everyone have a service learning day like the last gathering in Houston? Yep, everyone will rotate through service learning, interactive learning, and Synod day. Let's see. So a few people mentioned there's a import registrants section on the system, that very bottom button. Yeah, there is. If you click it, it'll give you kind of some instructions on downloading a Excel spreadsheet. It is a little tricky. You kind of have to really cross compare between like the registration worksheets and that to kind of get the questions right. But you should be able to go in and for like all of the youth, put in all of the information in this giant spreadsheet, and then upload it, and then it'll give you, all the people will be magically in the system. And then obviously double check it to make sure that it's right. But yes, that is available. If I put a deposit for more people than actually register, does that money roll over into total costs for the congregation of the gathering? No. So if you register 10 people and only 9 people actually end up attending the gathering, the 10th person's deposit would just be gone. It would not be applied to your congregational balance. Let's see. I don't know, are you seeing any ones that we haven't kind of covered? Can we reserve our own hotel? No, you cannot. You'll register, and then we kind of assign you where your congregation will be, kind of by synod, as well as what's helpful for us as far as transportation and logistics.
There's some questions about transportation. If you opt in to gathering transportation, then we will take care of getting you from your hotel to the each program piece, and then back at the end of the day. Everybody has to use gathering transportation for service learning except for the pilot project folks. So everybody uses gathering transportation on their service learning day, but you can opt in to use it on the other days too.
There was a question I just saw. If we're planning on attending or like arriving to Minneapolis before the gathering, can we stay in the same hotel that you're assigned? Yep. That's where that information where you put this is when we're arriving and this is when we're leaving helps us kind of determine when your hotel rooms would need to be available.
There's been some questions about release forms to media, liability, medical forms. Yep, those will be coming out. We don't collect those forms, but we ask that everybody fills them out, and then you just need to have them with you, in case we need them at the gathering. So usually the adult leader holds on to those or makes copies for all the adult leaders, however your congregation handles that. But yeah, there will be those release forms.
There is a question around Minneapolis area synod congregations and if they will be housed downtown or if they'll be housed in the surrounding area.
It's a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle, but I believe the intention right now is to house the Minneapolis area synod downtown.
Let's see. Will the rate be the same if you want to come early or leave after the gathering? Yes, the rate would be the same per night. Is there light rail access from all of the different hotel pockets? Not all of them, but there are definite hotels that are real close to the light rail and have access to downtown.
Is there any preference given to those who register on 9/22 versus 11/20? And preference, I'm assuming you mean like for housing, and no, not really, because we do house by, we're going to try to house by synod. And so that really determines will determine most of the housing.
If we select that we would like to participate in the service learning pilot project, will we need to provide our own transportation? Yes. So there are definitely a few things that are requirements to participate. And so on the service learning website or webpage on our website, it kind of lists what is required. So definitely check that out before you opt in or opt out.
Are we allowed to bring air mattresses for the hotel if youth don't want to share a bed with someone? I will say the answer is technically no.
When will we have access to this portal? Starting September 22nd, when you register.
Woohoo! If we opt into transportation, what is the additional cost we should budget for? So gathering transportation, there's no additional cost.
Can people individually pay? If so, what is the link? No, so all payments need to go through your congregation. And so, yeah, it has to go through the congregation because it's applied to the overall balance of your group, not an individual.
Megan, I see your question about Northwest Intermountain Synod, and you guys are doing a little, you're part of our guinea pig project for financial assistance. So all of your financial assistance goes through your Synod, and your Synod will tell you how to get those funds. So we've already given the funds to your Synod, and they're deciding how to distribute it. So there's, if you don't know who to contact, if you go to the financial assistance page on our website, there'll be a contact info for Northwest Intermountain, and you can get in touch with them. Hopefully that answers your question.
So there's a question around St. Louis, both in the Missouri and the Illinois side, they take buses together, and should we mark that we are going with our Synod? So if you're traveling with other synods, I guess, just note that in the section in the congregational details so that we know congregations and synods. When is the deadline to change information about your congregation? April 22nd. So if someone registers during early bird for a youth, pay the deposit, but later we need to swap that registration for a different youth, will that be possible? Yes, when you go into the system, there will be a little button that says like swap or something like that. And you click, you click that and it'll open it up so that you can edit the name and all of the information and change it to the person that is attending. And that won't impact your fees or anything.
Is there a way to access this via app for the phone for when we're traveling to the gathering? So yes, one of the other things we're excited about is that with this new registration system, there'll be a new gathering app, and the hope, the plan, right, Justin, is that all of your information will just be like seamlessly, wonderfully available in this app. So you'll be able to have access to all of your registration stuff. It's not done yet. It won't come until like spring of 22, but yeah, there will be an app that you'll be able to see all your registration stuff with. Do we make our own airline travel arrangements? Yep, you figure out how you're getting to the gathering, plane, train, automobile, however your heart desires.
With all payments, registration and hotel going to the same place, do we need to distinguish registration fees versus hotel fees? Nope, it just all goes to your congregational balance and you just pay that down. Go ahead. Can congregations bring youth that are not a part of their church, such as friends or cousins? Absolutely. They are more than welcome to join us.
Will we need to pay for parking anywhere? Yes, I would say. If you're driving like a vehicle, you'll probably have to pay for parking at your hotel. If you're staying downtown, most of the suburban hotels have free parking, but if you're staying downtown, you'll pay for parking there. And then a related question, if we're driving a van up to the gathering, is it best to use gathering transportation to get back and forth from the hotel and stuff instead of driving ourselves? You know, Jen, that's really, I think, so our transportation team would say, yes, it is best to use gathering transportation. I guess part of it is a caveat of how much control you like. And so if you're somebody who's like, yes, please just take care of that for me, then our gathering transportation team will take really good care. If you're somebody who likes a lot of control, then probably using your own transportation is best. There's not a lot of parking. There's virtually no free parking downtown, especially by the stadium. So I guess that kind of relates to the pay for parking. So you will end up paying for parking if you're downtown in your own vehicle.
There's a question of what airport should we fly into? So Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Well, the hotels need a credit card for incidentals. Yes, and we're hoping to work with them to make sure that they don't put some like crazy hold on your credit card. So that's something that we'll be working with our hotel partners in the coming months. So there will be something on there, but hopefully not a lot.
Will you make sure restaurants know what to expect so that they don't run out of food and they have enough workers, etc., while we are downtown? Yes, Minneapolis, they know we're coming. In 2019, our friends at the LCMS, their youth gathering was in Minneapolis. And so they kind of showed Minneapolis what we're about. And so they are ready for us and they will be able to handle our crowds.
Can you reiterate the cost of housing? Yeah, so what we're suggesting is to budget $160 per night per room, and then to budget for about 3 people per room, and plus tax, which is averaging about 14% across the metro area. And again, these are averages, might be a little more, could be a little less, but as we look at our housing block, that's what it's averaging out to be.
Is there a PowerPoint or a video to show our youth to get them excited? So last month we had our Kickoff Celebration. So it's around a 30-minute video where Matthew and Claire are hosts for the 2022 gathering, as well as different partners from across the church. Bishop Eaton is in there. Bishop Ann from Minneapolis Area Synod is there. And so it's a great video for you to kind of show them and get them excited about the gathering and see what's going to happen, what's new for this cycle. So that is on our website, or if you go and just YouTube ELCA Youth Gathering kickoff video, it'll show up.
And there's other great promo videos there too. One for the mile, one for table. There's one that talks about like, why is the youth gathering important? There's a really great overview. Yeah, so lots of awesome videos to check out to educate and get your kids pumped to come.
Also, a lot of the 2018 videos are all there. So like speaker videos for mass gathering, different like highlight clips and things like that, you can go watch so they kind of have a idea of what some of these things will be like. If a youth can't go after registering them, but an additional adult is able to go, can the deposit be used for them? Yes. Yes.
It's getting dark here. I have to turn my light on, so hopefully it doesn't blind you. Oh, it did. Sorry, friend.
Is there a like deadline for changing names? Molly, do you want to answer?
Oh, sorry. When registration closes. And if you really need to sneak something in after that, we can usually do it, but it'd be great to have it all wrapped up at the end of registration. Seems like I saw something about adult leaders from the same synod being able to maybe room together. So I would say reach out to your gathering synod coordinator. So each synod has a volunteer who's like your main information person. And so I'd reach out to them and see if they'd be willing to do some of that coordinating. And a lot of them are. So if you have like one, female adult leader and you don't want to pay for their own room, maybe there's another leader from another congregation and you can share rooms and share that cost. So a lot of our coordinators do that kind of work on your behalf.
There's a question just around like budgeting for food and souvenirs and things. On the gatherings resources page, there's a sample budget as well as like a budget template that you can download and kind of put your information in there and kind of have an idea of what you'll need to fundraise. How do we find our Synod coordinator? At the bottom of the gatherings website on the right-hand side, I believe, there's a spot that says like, find my Synod coordinator, maybe, I think. Click there, put in your Synod, and you'll be able to send an email to them and they will get back to you in a few days.
See the question about the hotel costs again. So Eric, we're saying $160 per room per night. So if there's 3 people in there, it would be 160 divided by 3 to get your per person. So not 480, but 160 per room per night. With church or town name on anything for the participants. Don't 100% know what that means, but like we don't print name tags or anything like that. So I'm gonna say no to your question, Chris. Oh, for parishes, right? If there's like 3 congregations to get, yeah. I mean, technically, like when you go to check in, that would be the only time where you have to give a congregation name or what, like that's when it matters which church you use to register. Whew, we're getting through it, Justin.
We are.
Kelsey.
To communicate the options with our youth, is there extra information around the pilot project and the options that they can attend? So there is more information around the service learning pilot project on the Gatherings website. If you go, I think it's under program tab and then service learning, there's some information about it there. Not information about what the exact project will be. That will not be released until you're at the gathering, but there's definitely more information around the pilot project on the website. And later, when is it? I don't know. Next spring, there's a webinar.
Yeah, something.
With our service learning team leader. So definitely sign up for that one.
Before the cutoff date, I know that.
Is there a time frame for postponing or canceling due to COVID?
Short answer, no. Longer answer, we're kind of waiting to see how this thing plays out. But I am very hopeful, bridging on confident that this thing's going to happen. I know I have a teenager in my own house who is really looking forward to it. I think it'll be a great week of faith formation with our kids, a milestone, something to look forward to, something to work towards. I mean, obviously safety is our top priority, but we are feeling hopeful and feeling good. So everybody get your vaccination. Tell your youth group kids to get vaccinated, because that's really the number one thing that you can do to make sure this ministry happens next summer. Make smart decisions, wear your mask, get vaccinated. Let's get over this little Delta hump. And hopefully we'll be good to go for next summer.
All the things.
Things,
Recommendations for groups eating in the city. Should we try to make reservations ahead of time for a group of 10 plus people? Doesn't hurt. There's a whole section in the handbook, the official gathering handbook, on the resources page. If you haven't looked at that, it is like a 100-page book filled with tips and tricks for attending the gathering from veteran adult leaders. Definitely check that out. There's a whole section on feeding your group at the gathering.
When we find out about financial assistant apps we've already submitted, I'm trying to get through them, people. Before registration opens, how about that? I promise you'll hear before registration opens about those financial assistants. So yes, you're in there and we just need to go through them and we try to just pay real close attention to each kid's needs. So awesome. Well, it looks like we hit
Pretty much all of them.
Yeah, good.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us for a little longer than expected to get through all of those questions. Again, this webinar was recorded, so you can go back and view that in a few days on the Gatherings website. I'll invite you all to join us on September 8th at 7 p.m. Central for a special safety and security webinar. Molly will be there, as well as our team leader for safety and security, Pastor Sean Hannon, and the medical manager, Rachel McConnell, who serves also on the safety and security team, to talk about COVID and just overall safety in Minneapolis. So I encourage you to attend. The link is on the website. And with that being said, again, thank you so much, and have a great evening, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.